peak fall colors and why this is a great time of the year for some planting.
Planting a tree the right way helps it grow stronger and live longer.
If you missed this morning's meteor shower, you have another chance tonight.
The best viewing, though, it's an overnight thing. If you're a night owl, 1 a.m. to 7 a.m. pre-dawn, very early riser.
How to make sure your furnace is safe and ready for the winter cold, and staying safe on the road when deer could suddenly appear right in front of you.
They got to keep their eyes forward, be scanning those ditch lines, utilizing their lights at nights and even during the dusk hours.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. Tropical storm Melissa formed over the Caribbean Sea on Tuesday. It's expected to bring heavy rain, strong winds, and mudslides to Jamaica, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic. Florida meteorologist Lauren Oleski is tracking Melissa and any possible impacts right here in the U.S.
Let's look right now at Melissa, a rather lopsided storm. The center of circulation is not where the middle of all this convection is going on. In fact, the center of the storm was relocated in a further northeast, I believe the National Hurricane Center said, than where it was before. And it's still, this track just looks like a big blob. It's going to slow down. It's going to nearly stall this weekend. It's moving northeast, and then it's going to kind of curve off towards the west, impacting potentially Jamaica. There's still a lot of discrepancy in terms of where this is going. The models are still really split. A lot of that, of course, due to the fact that it's slowing down. Some of it some models go west, others immediately going east. We'll monitor this right now. I don't see this impacting Florida. This is currently not a threat to us. If that changes, I'll let you know.
And while the Southeast keeps an eye on Melissa, much of the rest of the nation is watching for fall colors. Let's explore fall. It shows peak color has already passed from northern New England across the upper Midwest into the Rockies and parts of the West as well. Now, to find peak color right now, head to the plains, portions of the Great Lakes, as well as the Mid-Atlantic and southern New England. The area you see in orange is actually next to reach peak colors, while the yellow and green areas across the South are still a few weeks away from peak. The Utah Bureau of Land Management, or BLM, is feeling the impacts of the efforts to shrink the federal government. BLM helps to protect natural areas, including monitoring wildlife, wilderness boundaries, and recreational trails. Samantha Hoffman looks at how these lands will be protected with less workers.
We don't have as much of the red rock up north, so this part of the country is just an amazing place to ride.
This is the Red Cliffs Conservation Area, popular for its 130 miles of trails filled with dinosaur tracks, bone beds, plant fossils, and petrified wood.
Here, it's just the scenery is amazing, and the weather is generally really, really good.
Located where the Mojave Desert, Colorado Plateau, and Great Basin come together, the BLM calls the area a critical habitat for native wildlife.
It's a very unique landscape, unique geology, and it is home to some really fascinating and unique biology.
When asked about the impacts of the BLM layoffs to public lands in southern Utah, the Department of the Interior said they've repeatedly evaluated their department needs since before the congressional shutdown and aim to reduce redundancies in the workforce. Stacey Whittick from Conserve Southwest Utah said the shutdown and federal cuts add to an already threatened landscape.
I think our federal partners are always reliant on the help of volunteers and nonprofits.
Whittick says in the short term, the most impacted areas will be lands with visitor services, which includes Snow Canyon within Red Cliffs. She also believes the greater conservation lands will take a hit from less emergency response, issuing of permits, and fire restoration, which the BLM is heavily involved in.
I think all of us should be concerned that in truth, there's never enough human power and resources to manage the vast landscapes that we have.
Mountain biker Gordon Lundell says he thinks having workers on the land is important to ensure its protection.
I think it's important to be able to use the land for hiking or biking or other things, but hopefully we can manage that so that it doesn't overwhelm the land, and the wildlife and the other people that use it can help preserve its beauty.
Red Cliffs has no closures at this time.
And practicing wildlife safety is a fact of life in many parts of the country, and one way to protect your property is something called home hardening. Devin Horrendez in Northern California with the details.
It's a reminder for everyone to be prepared, to make a plan, and to take action now before the next wildfire. The California Wildfire Mitigation Program is aiming to limit wildfire risks for Shasta County homeowners. The California Governor's Office of Emergency Services and CAL FIRE administer the program together. Home hardening is more attainable and affordable for homeowners who are in wildfire-prone areas through the program. On Tuesday at a fire-safe residence in Whitmore, program leaders and local partners shared how ignition-resistant building materials and defensible space can significantly reduce wildfire risk.
Here in Whitmore, we've been able to do 13 homes. We're looking to continue to expand that, not only here in Whitmore, but as well as Oak Run and Lakehead. We know that it's a very high-risk zone. A lot of Shasta County is like that.
Citing a recent UC Berkeley study, Frank Bigelow with CAL FIRE says home hardening and defensible space can reduce wildfire destruction by up to 50%. However, Bigelow says almost 90% of the state's wildland-urban interface homes were built before the current wildfire-resistant building code standards took effect. Their team has developed a list of improvements homeowners can make without permits or contractors.
These include things like replacing vents, sealing gaps, and clearing debris from roofs and gutters. We're also urging Californians to focus on the first 5 feet around their home.
Well, fall is settling into place, and you may not think about planting this time of year, but cool temperatures and also moist soil are ideal for new trees. IO meteorologist Grayson Frun tells us more.
Tree planting isn't just digging a hole and dropping it in. Planting a tree the right way helps it grow stronger and live longer. Let's break it down step by step. Mark your planting spot and start by digging a hole that's 2 to 3 times wider than the tree's container and no deeper than 1 foot. Remove the tree from its container and find the root flare, where the base of the tree flares into the roots.
The number one big mistake is planting it too deep. So if you look at any mature tree, you can see that point where the trunk goes into the roots, right? And that's always above ground. So if you plant a sapling too deep where that first root is buried under the ground, it's gonna rot the trunk. It'll never be mature.
Place your tree in the hole, making sure it's standing straight. Fill the hole halfway with the original soil, pour a bucket of water in so the soil settles, and then fill in the rest of the hole. Next, apply 2 to 4 inches of mulch around the tree, pulling it back from the trunk a bit to prevent rotting. And finally, it's time to water.
You get 5 to 10 gallons of slow water on your tree once per week. That's great. You could do twice per week if it's really hot and dry, but really you don't want to water it every day. You want to let the soil have time to breathe.
Natural movement helps strengthen the trunk, so only stake it if extra support is really needed.
If you have high winds coming, you just planted your tree, you might have to stake it. Really, that's only necessary for a year, at most 2 years, and then the tree will be established, and you want to take that off as soon as possible.
It's a lovely week for stargazers. There's still a chance to catch the Orionids meteor shower in the skies tonight. Meteorologist Rich Van Olen tells us the best chance to catch a glimpse.
And if you catch them, it's really something to see. All right, so this is going to peak now through October 23rd, maybe 3 to 5 per hour in the city. It's not a lot, you know, but you get out into the suburbs, 5 to 10, maybe up to 20. Some of the more country areas, again, away from the light, away from the city, is your best bet. The best viewing, though, it's an overnight thing. If you're a night owl, 1 a.m. to 7 a.m., pre-dawn, very early riser, look to the southeast. You might see those little streaks coming in the sky, southeast areas. And, okay, I've seen them before. It's kind of cool to watch when you see that meteor shower. So find a spot away from the light, adjust the eyes to the darkness, look up to the southeast sky, and again, the shower begins overnight and goes late tonight into early morning and peaks through Thursday. So a couple of opportunities to check out what you might see in the sky, some shooting stars with the Orion meteor showers.
And check out this time lapse from the top of Mount Hood in Oregon. It was shut down Monday around noontime. You can see the clouds rolling over the snow-covered mountains and even a few planes flying by. The summit is over 11,000 feet high, making it the 4th highest mountain in the Cascade Range. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, it's almost time to get your home heater started. Well, we're going to have some tips on how you can do what you can do now to avoid issues later on in the season. And we're going to show you NOAA's latest winter outlook.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. We have a round of wet weather moving through the Northeast this morning. The sun should poke out this afternoon, sending temps back into the 60s, so it is seasonably mild for your Wednesday. There's that rainfall making its way off to the north. I can't rule out an afternoon shower on your Wednesday. This is 2:30. Our greatest chance for showers on Thursday and again on Friday will be back into New York, Pennsylvania, and through parts of Vermont. Temps will be turning cooler by the weekend.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. Our cold front continues to push away from the region, which means that we'll be back to some cooler, drier weather, some breezy conditions, just occasional clouds on the backside of the system. But that is going to be it. We are going to be dry for the next several days. Temperatures certainly cooler. Highs will only reach the low 60s, except for the mountains, much cooler, likely to be stuck in the 50s. And these same numbers are likely to be around as we move into Thursday and continuing really all the way into the weekend.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Collins with a look at your southeast forecast. It'll be a chilly start to the morning for parts of the Carolinas, with temperatures in the 40s and 50s on your Wednesday. Otherwise, the 70s for most of South Florida and the mid to upper 60s for the northern Gulf Coast. Afternoon highs will return to the 70s for most of the southeast, with the mid to upper 80s across most of Central and South Florida. A frontal boundary is moving across the southeast, set to set up across Central Florida as we head towards the end of the week. Dry skies for the rest of the southeast.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
These sharp-looking clouds over the Pacific Northwest are a clear sign of strong winds in the mid-levels of the sky. Down on the ground, there was plenty of fog across the Seattle region. New Hampshire's Mount Washington received a coating of snow overnight, and more could fall this week. And this red-tailed hawk flew through a screen and into a lanai in Florida. It took about 20 minutes to convince the bird to fly away.
For more content like this, subscribe to the National Weather Desk's YouTube channel.
Well, fall is a transition season, the time of year firefighters say is a perfect chance to get your furnace inspected before the cold weather actually rolls in. Christian Garzon has more.
Carbon monoxide, also abbreviated as CO, can come from any number of appliances in your home and is produced whenever a material burns. Battalion Chief Brian Gibo with the Ridge Road Fire District says something like a furnace leaking CO can be common.
Yeah, unfortunately they call it the silent killer. So with natural gas, they obviously put a chemical in there so you can smell it. With CO, there is no indicators.
Gibo says some of the symptoms of CO poisoning can range from a headache, dizziness, feeling weak, or confusion.
There's multiple different sources that can produce carbon monoxide throughout your house. You know, your stoves, your dryers, your fireplaces, like I said, your furnace.
Gibo says this is right about the time to get that last item checked before the colder weather rolls in to ensure your furnace is shipshape.
100%. Do it right now, right? Plan for emergencies ahead of the emergencies.
Gibo says they respond to some 100 calls per year for CO leaks. Firefighter Corey Thayer says when responding to emergencies, they use a handheld detector called a 4-gas meter.
We could see LEL, which is the lower explosive limit of natural gas. We have CO, we could check your house for CO.
But since not everyone has a 4-gas detection meter handy, Gibo says the best thing you can do is to make sure your home has a functioning CO detector. If not, get one.
$50 for a CO detector and under $100 for your furnace to get inspected. So for $200, you're keeping yourself and your family protected.
This time of year is all about changing leaves and pumpkin spice, but there is a downside during October and November. Deer activity increases, often leading to collisions on the road. Eric Morris has tips on how you can stay safe on the road.
Last week, the Department of Transportation urged drivers across the state to be cautious because of increased deer activity. There are plenty of things to do to keep you safe.
They got to keep their eyes forward, be scanning those ditch lines, utilizing their lights at night and even during the dusk hours, because that's typically when the deer are going to pop out.
And if one does jump out in front of you,
don't swerve out of your lane into oncoming traffic or adjacent travel lanes if you're on the highway, because that could cause a bigger crash instead of just a single vehicle versus the deer. You might end up with a multi-vehicle pileup.
If you can't avoid it,
if you do happen to hit a deer, stay in your vehicle. Don't be roaming around on the side of the highway trying to check on the status of the deer. We don't want you getting struck by passerby traffic.
On Monday, the DOT emphasized the importance of training and experience for teen drivers. Beth Haynes has been a driver's ed instructor for 20 years.
Speed kills everything. Speed is the one problem with teen drivers because they're learning how to drive, and if they add speed to that, it becomes tricky.
Distracted driving, like texting or talking on the phone, is also a concern among newer drivers.
Every time you do it and you get away with it, it's a false sense of security. At one point in your life, you're going to hit a curb, a pole if you're lucky. If you're not lucky, you're going to be, it's a fatality.
Over the weekend, an 18-year-old was killed after hitting a deer in Oconto Falls. While we don't know yet the details of what happened, it serves as a reminder driving can be dangerous, even under the best of conditions.
And when it comes to severe weather, one of the most dangerous aspects can be the wind. To understand just how powerful a wind can be, we turn to meteorologist Eric Estreva.
Hey there, everyone. I'm Chief Meteorologist Eric Estreva with Mid-Michigan Now. We have our first potential major windstorm of the season. It's a very strong low pressure that's going to spin up in the Great Lakes, and it could have some pretty wicked winds to come along with it. It is definitely going to be strong enough to move leaves, likely take leaves off of the tree branches before some even have the opportunity at changing color. If you have some Halloween decorations or maybe even Christmas decorations, if you're early in that portion of your festivities or just wanting to get those up earlier than everyone else, those could potentially be knocked down by some 25, 35 mile per hour winds. It's when you get into that ballpark of 40, 50, 60 that we could potentially have some damage to trees and power lines, and it could even be a struggle for you to walk along at times. The average person, if we're saying a weight of 175 pounds and an area of about 7.7 square feet, you put that into the equation, and it's about 67 miles per hour that would be needed to push you. Now, of course, if you're a little bit smaller than that, it would be less wind to potentially just make it very hard to walk along, especially if you're going in that same direction as the winds. Now, the wind's not likely going to be strong enough to move a car, but it's only 90 miles per hour to move a small car, potentially just a little bit.
And are you looking for somewhere to go this fall season to take in the foliage? Well, one state park in Wisconsin bills itself as having something for just about anyone. It's called Whitefish Dunes State Park. As Eric Peterson reports, many say it all begins with a trip to the beach.
When it comes to Whitefish Dunes State Park, Friends Group board member Doug Ottopollock says the Lake Michigan site south of Jacksonport has plenty to offer.
What is unique about this park is that it is not only just a beautiful white sand beach, but we probably have 8 or 9 different kind of ecosystems, microsystems that are within this park. So you can go from beach, you can go to our beautiful sand dunes. People think of, California sand dunes and dune buggies, but our dunes have growth on them now. But some of the highest sand dunes in the Great Lakes are on this park.
Whitefish Dunes is definitely the beach. The beach is the big draw at Whitefish Dunes.
Whitefish Dunes State Park Property Supervisor Aaron Brown-Stender says the site attracts about 200,000 visitors a year.
I suspect that some people and families come and visit just for the beach in the summer and may not even know how much more the park has to offer.
Brown-Stender says at the northern end of the beach, the terrain turns rocky. This section of the Brachiopod Trail meanders just off the Lake Michigan shoreline.
And then Continuing traveling north, we developed a new trail last year with the assistance of our friends group to connect Whitefish Dune State Park with Cave Point County Park. We always knew that a lot of people like to travel between the two properties. We made that a little bit easier by establishing a hiking trail between the two parks.
Brown Stender says the 1.5-mile long Brachiopod Trail continues through the woods. A wooden boardwalk keeps people dry while traveling over this wetland area.
At all times of the year, it's a really beautiful location. Nice place to go for, some nature observation and quiet reflection.
And time now for a short break, but first we take to the skies over Maryland's Gunpowder State Falls.
Well, good Wednesday morning, everyone. We have got a lot of sunshine across the Midwest here in the plains, but the Great Lakes dealing with some lake effect rain as an area of low pressure kind of spins over the Great Lakes, and still seeing a little bit of lake effect rain tomorrow, but most of the Midwest starting to get into a little bit more sunshine. And then we have some rain starting to develop to the south there on Friday. And that'll try to push its way in a little bit more as we head into the weekend.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. Downright cold from Amarillo back over into Oklahoma City into the 40s. Compare that to the 70s way down into Brownsville. Today we'll watch a warm front develop down to the south, head north. Another little low comes through. That's just the setup for a stronger cold front a little bit later on in the week. Otherwise, it's going to be a pretty warm day. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. That's a look at your regional weather.
Good Wednesday morning, everybody. I'm meteorologist Stella Sun. A weak system will be bringing a few rain showers towards the Pacific Northwest and for some of our communities towards the desert Southwest and in Southern California. Daytime highs will be a touch cooler, hanging out into mid to upper 60s from San Francisco to LA, 80s in Las Vegas, 70s from Denver down to Albuquerque with some showers expected through Portland and in Seattle. Daytime highs lingering at 58 degrees in Jackson, Wyoming. That's the scene from here.
I'm Emily Santa, meteorologist at WGME in Portland, Maine, and you're watching the National Weather Desk.
NOAA recently released their latest winter outlook. Oklahoma meteorologist Joy Bettenhausen posted about the forecast on Instagram. Take a look.
The NOAA Winter Outlook has just been released for the 2026 winter season, so let's get into what we could potentially expect this upcoming winter season. So it appears that weak La Nina conditions will continue at least through this winter season with a potential shift back to more of a neutral phase for the spring. So under this scenario, this would mean that the jet stream would be farther to the north. Doesn't mean we won't get any freezes per se south, but under this regime, we usually see more days than not with above normal temperatures, at least south, southwest, and southeast, below normal temperatures up across the far north. Now for precipitation, with the jet stream being farther to the north, that could mean we're going to miss out on some rain and even some snow potential in Oklahoma. Below normal precipitation expected way to the south. We're in the gray, so we're just going to have to see how that fares. Up to the north, though, they are potentially expecting above normal precipitation.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great day, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow.